Hello students, in today's lecture we are going to see the relationship between management and organizational behavior. Management as a special subject or a separate subject, you have learned it twice, that is in first year and also in your third year. Okay, so you are well acquainted with what is management. Also during the first semester we have learned concepts of management. You very well know various functions of management. So management as a separate discipline, as a separate subject, you know everything about it, its principles, its functions, you are well acquainted with it. Also we have also learned the various theories of leadership, motivation. Okay, so management is old as human civilization, and it has emerged as a discipline or a separate subject in last 1.5 centuries. But OB is a separate discipline, as we say all the time, but OB is a part of management. Okay, so here we are going to study what is the relationship between managerial functions. Which are the managerial functions? Planning, organizing, directing, controlling, right? So how these functions are related to OB, that means what is the role of organizational behavior, or how behavior of individual and groups do influence the implementation of functions of management in organization. That is what we are going to study, that is the relationship between management and OB. Okay, so OB is a part of management, as I said, and OB and management both are interdisciplinary in nature. Okay, so now what is the difference between management and OB? Management is related with the use of resources, both human and physical, for achieving the organizational objectives. Okay, so what is the role of management? Management makes use of optimum, we can say, use of resources, both human as well as physical resources, for achieving the organizational objectives. Okay, now this is the role of management. What is the role of OB? OB is concerned with only human resources. That means study of OB includes the study of behavior of individuals as well as group. Okay, so that is limited to OB, because OB itself, if you look at the abbreviation, OB is organizational behavior. So here we study the behavior only of individuals and groups. We are not concerned about the other non-living resources of production, right, which management do pay attention towards it. Okay, so this is the basic difference between management and OB. Okay, then a second thing is that management is basically concerned with the implementing the various functions like planning, organizing, directing, controlling, coordinating the efforts of people. Okay, so when we talk about management, management means art of getting work done through people with the help of various functions of management. Okay, so we want our people to go in the right direction, and their effort should be properly utilized for achieving the organizational objective. Okay, and what is OB? OB is just the aspect of management which is related with shaping the behavior of people. That means you want to mold the behavior of people, both individual as well as groups, in particular way, so that your organizational objectives are achieved. Okay, that means here management is focusing its attention both on human as well as physical resources, while as far as OB is concerned, it is only paying its attention towards human resources, right? And it wants to shape the behavior of people in such a manner or in such a way that organizational objectives are achieved. That means management and OB both can be at a time, they can go parallelly. Okay, so they can be implemented parallelly, because OB is just a part of management, right? Okay, now one by one we are going to see how these functions of management are affected because of OB, or how OB is inculcated or how it is integrated in the implementation of functions of management. So the first one is, of course, the planning function, which is the first and the foremost function of management. Whatever things we do, we start everything with planning itself. So the definition, let me remind you about the definition of planning, is deciding in advance what is to be done in future. Okay, so whenever you chalk out plans, you lay down the targets, these targets are always influenced by behavioral aspect. Now here we are seeing that how functions of management, that is the first function, planning, how you consider behavioral aspect, or how OB is having influence on planning. Okay, now for example, we'll consider that if the planned targets are very simple to achieve, okay, that means whatever objectives or targets, goals which are given to an individual, whenever you chalk out the plan, if they are very simple, then what will happen? They will not motivate people to work hard or to achieve those objectives, because they are very easy. Any easy thing is given to you, then what will happen? The human tendency is that we take it very lightly, isn't it? We are not so serious about it because it's so very easy, we can do it anytime anyhow. I mean, it's that easy. Okay, that is the human mindset. So when the targets are very simple to achieve, they do not motivate people. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing, on the other hand, if targets are set too difficult, okay, that means they are so difficult that your employees feel that they are almost impossible to achieve. Okay, then what will happen? If such difficult targets are decided or planned, then that will not create any adequate motivation to the employees. Okay, so people will not get motivated because they think that it is impossible, it's not our cup of tea. How to achieve that target? It's impossible. So once your employees feel that your targets are quite unreachable, they are beyond your reach, they are impossible to achieve, that will not create any adequate kind of motivation to achieve those targets. Okay, so what should be the difficulty level? The difficulty level should be decided on the basis of the behavior of individual and group. That means you should lay down the targets which are digestible by your employees, which they can achieve not easily. Well, more important thing is that your targets should be set in such a way that they are neither too difficult for them to achieve nor too easy for them to take it very lightly. Okay, then how these targets should be laid down? They should be laid down by considering the capacity, capability and willingness of your employees, their reactions after these targets are set, whether they are capable to achieve that, and therefore we come to a conclusion that the target should be set, they should be challenging, we can call them. Okay, now what happens because of challenging targets? People feel motivated when they are given challenging task, because their whole knowledge, their potential is being utilized to achieve those targets. That is the time when they feel satisfied. Okay, so whenever in planning function, whenever you are laying down the target, the difficulty level should be appropriate and it should be matched with the behavior of your employees. Okay, so here in first function we saw managerial function of planning, how OB is an integral part of planning, or how behavioral aspect play important role whenever you have to set the planned targets for your individuals, right? So this was the first point. Now second is decision making. Now this is the most important function of management, and manager is called as a decision maker. Okay, so decision making, of course, it's a process where if you go for a consensus decision, or if you consider the opinion of your employees, your subordinates, then your decisions prove to be good, you are successful. It's called as participative decision making, right? So this degree of participation of employees in decision making process depends upon the OB matters. Okay, now why OB matters? Because if your boss is quite dominating, if he thinks that he is the only sole person who can do the thing himself, then what will happen? He will decide all the things himself, and he will take the decisions all alone. Okay, he will not ask his subordinates to take the decision. Okay, or he will not even think about considering the opinion of his employees for taking the decision. Okay, so whether your boss will decide the things himself, or whether he is participating his employees or subordinates in decision making process, it depends upon the behavioral aspects of your employees. Okay, so that is again an OB area. Okay, so this is the second function where we see that of course behavioral aspect do play a role whenever you are implementing the functions of management. Then third function is organizing. Organizing is not just drawing the boxes and preparing the organizational chart, but if you are having defective organizational structure, then your employees will be under stress. Okay, so here every organizational configuration has more implication for power, politics, conflicts, resistance to change. These are the things which are happening in the organization. Okay, and this is OB area. Okay, there are few people who want to be in power, some politics is going on, there are informal groups in the organization, there are conflicts, various types of conflicts like inter-group conflict, intrapersonal, interpersonal conflict, right? Then whenever any change is introduced in the organization, there are some groups of people who will resist that change, they'll oppose that change, they'll not let the management undertake that change, they'll not make it successful. Okay, so these are the things which are very OB area. Okay, these are the behavioral aspects, and OB thinks about behavior of individuals, and individual behavior depends upon his way of thinking, his personality, his attitude, his values, which we are going to study as separate points, right? So in organizing also, whenever you are implementing the function of organizing, of course these OB areas do play a very important role. So this is how our third function of management works with the help of OB. Okay, now coming towards the fourth function is directing or leading. Now this is again more influenced by OB, because the style of leadership is of course OB area, right? Because what sort of leadership style you are practicing, whether you are a democratic leader, a participative leader, autocratic leader, paternalistic leader, there are various styles of leadership, right? So which style you are using depends upon the person you are, right? And how you motivate people, it is again an OB area, because OB studies about which are the factors which motivate your employees to do the work, isn't it? So here personalities, your interpersonal relations, your group dynamics, your group wise communication, these are the areas which influence the function of directing, right? So various leadership theories have contributed a lot for OB. Okay, so which style you are using as a leader for direction purpose, how you are communicating with your subordinates, how you are motivating with them, how you are interacting with them, what sort of interpersonal relationship you do have, these all are OB areas. Okay, so again with the fourth point, we see that whenever we are implementing the function of management which is directing or leading, we make use of OB. Okay, the next one is coordination. Your ways and means of achieving coordination are always related with OB, because when will people coordinate or cooperate? If they are very positive about the organization. Okay, so again cooperation of people or willingness of people to work in the organization is of course an OB area, isn't it? It depends upon the behavior, the attitude, the personality, the mentality of people, isn't it? So if you are a positive person who is very cooperative with others, whenever anybody requires any sort of need, you are always there. If you are such kind of a personality, that means you are called as a cooperative person, isn't it? So this cooperation is a feature of your personality, because you are an optimistic person, right? So you're a positive person. So understanding why and how people cooperate and coordinate is the basic thing of OB. Okay, so this is an OB area again, why people cooperate or coordination takes place between two departments, right? And last function of management is controlling. Of course it is a common area of both management and OB, and both formal and informal ways of controlling are always influenced by OB knowledge, and the degree of tightness of control is again a part of OB. How much to control, whether tight control is required, or whether without any control also people are working because they are self disciplined, isn't it? So how controlling function is effectively implemented in the organization, that also depends upon the behavioral aspects of individuals, right? So here again, controlling function do have influence of OB on it. So with the help of all these 6 functions, we proved that the relationship between management and OB is I mean, it's so tight, and it's inbuilt. They both are interdependent and interdisciplinary, and without OB, these functions of management cannot be implemented successfully. Okay, so these were the things which we were about to cover in our today's lecture. So with this, we end with today's lecture. Thank you.